me just make sure that I am broadcasting correctly. I'm just going to check one setting before I get started. Yeah, perfect. Looks like it is working. I'm actually just going to actually, no, that's not going to work. Just want to make sure that my microphone is close to my mouth so you can hear it. So I am just going to work through, kind of to consolidate my own knowledge, work through the process of making a package that enables me to have an RMarkdown template. Actually, let me just do one thing here. All right. So here is the issue, because I always like to think about these things in terms of like what the problem is. Let me just check one thing. Cool. Actually, I'm just going to wait 1 second. I know I kind of did this without anybody, without any advance notice. So let me just give folks just a couple seconds, see if anybody wants to join. If not, no problem. I'm happy to do this on my own, because like I said, I'm interested in terms of like consolidating my own knowledge, and I find that just kind of talking through these things is helpful for that. So here's the issue. I am making a course right now. Oh, hey, Tom. So I'm making a course right now, and I have some slides that go with it. The course is called Going Deeper with R. It's kind of a follow-up to a previous course that I've made, and I have some slides that go with it. And you can see I'm using the Sharingan package. I think I'm pronouncing that right. This is kind of the template that I've used. You can see I use the R for the Rest of Us logo here. It uses a consistent font, so I'm using some CSS, custom CSS. It also, when I get to other slides, I always put R for the Rest of Us at the bottom, just as a branding thing. And so the way I've done this before, and I'll actually just pop over, this is my RStudio. The way I've done this before is pretty manual. So you can see, for example, I have a style.css file here. And in my RMarkdown document, within the YAML here, right here on this line, that's where I've just added that CSS. The issue is I have basically made copies of this, and just to very quickly show you, I'm basically like importing, that's the Carla font, which is the font here that I'm using throughout. I can use it on my website, use it all over the place, do a bunch of other stuff. Here I also have a file that's setup.rmd that provides the setup code chunk that I use. And so what I do here is, instead of actually just copying this content in, I just use a child code chunk here and have it call in setup.rmd. This also, so in addition to setting my options here, it also puts the stuff at the bottom. So for example, this R for the Rest of Us, which you can see down here. Whoops, didn't need to click that link. Shows up as a result of having this in a section called DK footer, which shows up here at the bottom. So the most important thing is not necessarily the specifics of how this works. The most important thing is the fact that the way I've done this is it's really been pretty manual. So for example, like with other courses I've made, for example, here's my fundamentals course. I have a slides folder. You can see here's a style.css and the setup.rmd. And then, for example, I have a Getting Started course, which is a free course. Again, I have style.css, setup.rmd. But there are multiple versions of these, right? Like I've made changes to the style.css, but I haven't really known, like, I've known in theory how I should do this, which is to make a template. But logistically, I haven't known how to actually do it. So I've basically been, every time I make a new project or make a new course, I just copy those files. And that's for a number of reasons not a great process, because if I change it in one place, it doesn't get updated. So what I actually realized this morning, having watched a talk by Charlotte Gelfand at our Studio Conf, was that it's actually not that complicated to make an RMarkdown template as part of a package. So I started Googling, and I actually got to the RMarkdown Essentials book, or what, I forget what it's, the definitive guide book. And there's a chapter about making templates, which I have up here. What I'm going to actually demonstrate, and hopefully I can remember how I did this morning, because I actually did it and then deleted the package that I made, which was really just kind of bare bones. I'm actually going to try and recreate it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, New Project. I'll go to New Directory, and instead of making just a typical new project, I'm going to make an R package. So I'll call this RRU for the rest of us themes, because I'm thinking actually this package could be a way for me to, if I develop like a custom ggplot theme, for example, also have it as part of there. That location is fine, and I'll create a Git repository as well, so I can use version control for this, and then later on I'll post it to GitHub so folks can take a look at that. All right. So I will say I am not an expert at making packages. I've made a few, but pretty basic. If you are just getting started making packages, hopefully this will kind of be helpful as someone who's not that much further along than you are. All right, so first thing I am going to load, so this is kind of the basic structure for a package. So it automatically, when I make a new package, within the R directory makes a function that's called hello, and it obviously just prints, as you can see, prints hello world. That's just kind of starting out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load the DevTools package, which also loads the use this package. It's basically just has a series of functions that help make packages easier to make. And let me actually pop over here. So the function that I want to use, what was it? Use RMarkdown template. So what this does is this is going to enable me to make a template within my RMarkdown document. This process here in the RMarkdown definitive guide book kind of talks about it, but it also suggests just using this function. So let me pop back over here. So use RMarkdown template. Let me remind myself what the arguments are. So template name, template directory, says if none is provided, will be created by from template name, template description. Yeah, so I'll just leave this. So I will do template name equals R for the rest of us slides, and template directory equals just call it slides. All right, so let me run that, and you can see it's telling me, okay, it's made in the inst RMarkdown template slides folder. You can see now it has templates slides. It's created kind of the skeleton for this RMarkdown template. So you can see if I go in here, it has a really basic RMarkdown document, and this is the template. All right, so what I want to do now, and it also has this, so here where I gave the names of it, the name of it, it's added that here, so that was from the template name argument. Description, I didn't add a description yet, so let me add that. So I will call it template for, I don't really know, or for the rest of us slides. So I'll leave that. This create directory false, I'm a little bit unclear on that. I think it's about making a new directory when you actually create a new RMarkdown document based on the template, but if someone knows more about that than I do, please feel free to chime in, because like I said, I did it for the first time this morning. All right, cool. So I'm going to, actually, I'll just leave it open here. What I'm going to do, though, it looks like I actually closed my Going Deeper project, so let me actually open that back up and just look at it. So in my slides document, I'm just going to copy the YAML here. And that will basically make it so that it shows up every time as this content will show up. Because this is a slides template, I want to have the output format be the Sharingan slides template or format. So I'll leave that in. I have some other things that are, feel free to look into these if you're interested. They just set some of the options for it. So a couple things here now. I'm using that custom CSS file, so I'm going to need to copy that over. So I'm going to copy that style.css. Let me go into projects, RRU themes, inst RMarkdown templates, slides, skeleton. I'll put that in the in that skeleton folder. Pop back over here. I also have this that setup code chunk that I was talking about. So I'm going to copy that in there, so that will show up every time. And of course, to do that, then I'm going to need to have access to that setup.rmd. So again, I'm just going to copy that over here. And I'll just, this is the kind of default content. So I'll just put, that's fine. I'll just leave the default content for now. I might change it in the future. Cool. So I think now, let me see if I remember this. I always forget how to do this, but I think I can just hit install and restart. And now you can see it's when it's restarted, it's done. It's installed my package, and it's called library RRU themes. Now, if I did this correctly, and it's sort of a open question given that I did it for the first time this morning, it should have it here. Yeah, so now you can see I have a new template here called R for the Rest of Us Slides. So let me actually, though, not do it here. Let me actually go back to my package here, because here are my slides, right? And you can actually see I've been working on this course, so like I have all these slides that I've made using the way I did it before. But let me actually see if I can kind of recreate these now using the new format. So what I'm going to need to do, let me just restart my session. I'll do library RRU themes. And now I should be able to do the same thing here. So RMarkdown from template. Let me scroll down. There's R for the Rest of Us Slides. I'll just call this Going Deeper with R. Let me see what location it's putting it in. Yeah, that's fine, I think. Oh, wait, it called the document Going Deeper with R. That's fine. I can change that later. And it looks like it actually also then put it into a separate folder, which is like, that's fine for now. Although let me actually go into my going deeper. I bet that's something to do with the create directory option here, although weirdly it's create directory false, which I was assuming would mean that it would not create a new directory when you make a new document, but apparently it does. So let me close that. I'll just call this going deeper slides. And so now I could even, for example, copy all of the content that I have here and put it in here. And now I should have my slides. So the only thing is I know I won't be able to knit these because they're in a subdirectory where my other one was just in the main directory of my project. So let me actually do this. Let me actually delete delete that. I'm just going to delete all of my slides documents from before. I'll delete that. So I actually just rename this slides now. Yeah, that's fine. Close that. So now, and actually I can also delete my setup and .rmd and my style.css. So let me just copy this now, this content into my main directory. I can delete that going deeper with R. And now, for example, whoops, I don't want it to open there. So now I have my slides here. Let me go ahead and knit those. Take just a second. And I have my slides again here. And it doesn't look any different, but that's actually the point, right? It should actually stay the same. And the advantage now is that I can, anytime I need to make a new set of slides, so say I'm making another course or something like that, I can always now just go to New File, RMarkdown, and use that template that I made down here. Where is it? Or there it is, RRU themes are for the rest of us slides. And then anytime I need to make changes, I just do it back in my package. So for example, I could change the style.css here, change the setup.rmd file, reinstall it, and then it will stay the same. And that ensures anytime I make any changes, they propagate throughout any projects I'm using. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with how this worked out. I hope that this might be helpful to others if you want to think about making your own RMarkdown templates. Surprisingly to me, it actually wasn't that difficult. Cool. If anybody has any feedback on that making a new directory thing, I'd love to know about that, the create directory false. I'd love to have it just put it in the main directory, but maybe that's just not possible. I'm not sure. Cool. I am going to close this out now, but if you have any feedback, Twitter's probably the best place to let me know. Thanks all for watching, and yeah, I'll probably put this together into a edited down video that is a little more concise that might be helpful for folks as well.